I clicked everything right. Yay.
Nice opening, Debbie. That's new. I haven't seen that yet.
It's because they kept dinging me with the other, demonetizing me, because they kept saying my music was whatever, and it's not. It wasn't. But
weird.
Anyways, it's a YouTube thing. So I found this song that I knew for fact they weren't going to demonetize, and that's what it ended up being. But here we are.
Okay, here we are.
Hi, beautiful ladies.
Hi.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
I can't tell you, it's so good to be back. I feel like it's been like a year, but here we are, and
it's been several weeks. Yeah,
it's been a while, and so yeah, but it's good to be back. I am still feeling a little wonky, you guys, so bear with me, family, here. Making sure I click everything right. So this long COVID thing, or whatever they say, it's a real thing.
Oh, I'm glad you're okay, though. I mean, I'm glad you're upright. I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad you're
at least looking stunning. If anyone's working it, it's you.
Oh my gosh. I feel really wonky. So thank you for that. But you guys both of you look beautiful and enjoying this summertime, you guys.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, so far so good. It hasn't been that hot here. It's been pretty nice. Today is hot, but it hasn't been. So we've kind of lucked out that way. But how about you guys?
It's just been hot and gross here, but and fiery, smoky, and hot and sweaty.
Oh, we have been. I understand how that is. That's awful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Went, swimming in Lake Huron this weekend, so that was fun.
Nice.
It's fun to get around a big body of water and get in it. I'm telling you.
I tell you, the Great Lakes are spectacular. I live on Lake Ontario. That's where Toronto is, and it's really dirty. They need to clean it, but it's still beautiful to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Lake Huron is much cleaner.
And you can get in it and everything.
And it, there's quite a long stretch down the Canadian side because we share it with you guys. That there's lots of beaches, so it's really beautiful. And the drive, it's almost 3 hours, and it's just through countryside. It's just even the drive was relaxing.
Nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
Nice. It's nice. It's nice to get away, even for the day, or for a couple of days. It's nice. It makes a difference. Oh, good.
Yeah. Super great. I've been spending a lot of time outside, just because I'm like a forced rest, I'm forced to kind of lay down. But I've been doing it out on our porch that kind of overlooks a beautiful green space. So spending a lot of time listening to nature, in nature. So just, if you can do it, you guys, I encourage you, if you can get out. I know a lot of people are saying too hot here to get outside. But if you can, and when you can, it is a good place to just listen and do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been forced on me. So it's not by choice, but it's been nice. Right. I feel very blessed that I can do that. Anyways, everyone, welcome. And tonight is, again, Empowered Women, Empowering Women. And if you're new here, welcome. This is a night where we look at someone in history and bring them forward and remember what they provided as far as any type of open doors for us now, and learn their stories and so forth. So I need to bear with me. I'm in charge.
Yeah, okay.
I got this. Okay. So tonight we are going to be taking a look at, let me share from current slide.
The suspense.
Suspense. I know, you guys.
Because Kim and I don't know who it is because the hostess
That's right.
selects the topic.
Selects the topic, selects the person or the or the topic.
So interesting. Oh, I see why it's doing that. Okay. It's been a minute, you guys. I gotta just put this like that. Okay. Now I'm going to share the screen. I'm remembering. Thank you guys for. I'm remembering. Present and share screen.
Drum roll, please.
Okay. Oh, don't want that. Don't want that. Don't want that either. That's so weird. Cancel. Oh. Here we go. Share. All right. Are we seeing it? Here it comes, popping in. Can we see it? There it is. We are looking at Lily Devereaux Blake. She was born on August 12th, 1833, and passed December 30th, 1913. So let me go ahead and get over here now to her story. So she was born in Raleigh, North Carolina in 1833, August 12th. So her birthday is actually coming up, and so that's pretty cool. So she would have been a Leo. And she was the daughter of George and Sarah Johnson Devereaux. And later in her life, she married Frank Umstead in 1855, and then married again in 1866 to Grenville Blake. But we'll get into that. So let me go ahead and change this. There we go. Here she is. For the first 25 years of Lily's 25 years, she was a writer. Okay, first of all, she was a writer and a suffragette, and made big changes for us. But for the first 25 years of her writing career, she concentrated on fiction, publishing several novels and novellas and hundreds of short stories. Most of these would have been under a different, made-up name, fake name, because she was a woman.
Mm-hmm.
After 1882, most of her published work took from the form of essays and lectures on women's rights. Blake was born into a distinguished Southern family. When her father died in 1837, her mother moved to New Haven, Connecticut, where Blake attended girls' school and received private tutoring in the Yale undergraduate course. Mother and daughter were very close and remained so throughout their lives. Now, there's a lot behind the story here while she was at Yale. We're not going to get into that right now, but I encourage you to dive deeper into her story. Okay, so when Blake was debuted at age 17, she became renowned for her beauty and led a strenuous social life. In her writing, she often refers to this period of her life, noting that she was taught to regard social success as the only worthwhile goal for a woman. I was always a belle, flattered and I don't know this word, so I'm not even going to attempt it. I only wonder that I was not entirely ruined by an ordeal that would be pretty certain to turn the head of a fairly well-balanced man. She portrays in her fiction many young women enfeebled by flattery, enforced idleness, and what she calls false education. So she often wrote about kind of in a fictional way to bring out the story in regards to what was a woman's place and how it was wrong. In 1869, Blake became involved in the women's rights movement, to which she devoted the rest of her life and most of her subsequent writings. From 1879 to 1890, she was president of the New York State Women's Suffrage Association, and from 1886 to 1900, president of the New York City Women's Suffrage League. She was an excellent speaker, and her writings on women's rights are remarkable for their wit and humor. They are often in the form of satire or parable. Blake ran for president of the National American Women's Suffrage in 1900, but was forced to withdraw in favor of Susan B. Anthony's choice, Carrie Chapman Catt. Blake's philosophy and approach differed from Anthony's in several respects. She was often true to her aristocrat background, expressing concern that suffrage workers be well-dressed, well-behaved ladies, and she inaugurated such events as the Pilgrim Mothers Dinners held annually at the Waldorf Astoria. More importantly, she believed suffrage was only one means of improving women's status. As chair of the Committee on Legislative Advice, she advocated campaigning to secure legislation favorable to women and agitating for the appointment of women to new positions. So she wanted to see women as school trustees, as factory inspectors, as physicians in mental hospitals, and police matrons. She wanted to see women in these positions. She felt like that's where we should be putting our energies, into getting women in these positions, and that you would create more change and more, you gain more, gain more change. Okay. She was instrumental in achieving many of these gains in New York State. Okay. When Blake's legislative committee was dissolved, she founded and became president of the National Legislative League. This organization carried on the legislative approach from 1900 until 1905, when illness prevented Blake from continuing her work. Although she avoids the worst excesses of the sentimental fiction of the times, Blake writes much to the general pattern. Spirited young women develop fatal fascinations for evil, loveless types in her stories, and may or may not be saved by their honorable suitors. Young lovers are separated, reunited, and then part forever when they discover they are siblings. In Blake's early writings, characters who espouse feminist sentiments are punished. For instance, in Southwold, one of her books, 1859, the protagonist, when rejected by a man she loves, becomes embittered and bold and even unfeminine in her opinions. She shocks her characters by not taking every word of the Bible literally and by claiming Christianity has harmed women's status. So these are fiction books that she's writing, but she's bringing in truths through the stories. The book ends with her suicide. Interestingly enough, Blake later was espoused the opinions of her protagonist and had expressed dogmatic theology founded on the masculine interpretation of the Bible. Was the subject of attack in her Women's Place Today, 1883, her book, a series of lectures delivered in response to a misogynist theologian. Blake also one of the contributors to Elizabeth Cady Stanton's controversial Woman's Bible. So Blake's last novel, Fettered for Life, and let me see if I have it here. This is one of her books, Retracing a Life Erased, and this is the Fettered for Life, one of her novels here. Okay, Fettered for Life is a feminist work in which wife abuse, unjust marriage laws, discrimination in employment, and lack of educational opportunities for women are illustrated and discussed by the characters. Female friendships are strong in the novel, and the hero, a successful reporter who frequently rescues the female characters, turns out to be a woman in disguise. When she adopted male attire, she found that my limbs were free. I could move untrammeled, and my actions were free. I could go about unquestioned. No man insulted me, and when I asked for work, I was not offered outrage. So, let me go over here. I am going to bring a couple more things in here. And here's some of her quotes. The most grievous wrong of that day was to be found in the establishment of this. So this is one thing that she took on, the celibacy of the clergy. This was a hideous doctrine of a celibate priesthood that was maintained only by a constant struggle against the better and truer instincts of the heart. She fought. I mean, she brought this to light as well. What this kind of birthed from the celibacy, and all the things that were. So that's another place to study, you guys, if you want to read more about this. But she brought a lot of this to light as well. I have seen that women are shut out from every means of earning a living that is really remunerative. Can you guys say that word?
Remunerative?
Yes, that one. Crowded into certain narrow walks, which in consequence are so thronged that the poor creatures are forced to work for the merest pittance. Oops. This is some handwritten stuff that she wrote while she was in New York City Women's Suffrage League. And I thought that was just pretty cool to see her handwriting. And another quote, "We are tired of the pretense that we have special privileges and the reality that we have none. Of the fiction that we are queens and the fact that we are subjects." So she was bringing all that to light. Speaking it out. This book, her daughter wrote, and it was it's a biography of Lily, of her mom, Lily. So let's see, is there any more? And there she is, another picture of her later in life. And then we have the latest picture of her while she was in league. So, all right. I will stop the share and we'll come back here. Trying to get, there it is. There we are.
So, as they're reading all of this, I was,
There's an echo.
A little bit of an echo.
Yeah. Is it gone?
I think it's gone.
Okay. Oh my God, I didn't do anything. As I was listening to this, I kept getting that she was there was a real practical side to her, but there's also this kind of romantic daydreamer side as well. And that her mother really encouraged that daydreaming side of her. So, and that's where I feel like that grew into her writing, or how she wrote and how she would think up these stories. And she loved drama. She's saying she really enjoyed drama and the drama of life. And so she would get to write these stories and really let her imagination just kind of flow with it and go with it. And in those too, she had a lot of things, all the hopes she had for women, the things she hoped for women. She's talking about a lot of the things that she was supposed to do in her life she felt like was a waste of time. I'm thinking of all the social climbing and that kind of thing. I think that was just the stupid stuff. It's like setting out the right like places for dinner, like the placements of things for dinner, and just the dumb stuff that they'd have you waste your time with. It's like, why did they do that? It clearly was just to keep us busy so that we didn't get our nose into other things that were more important. It's like, just keep you busy with busy work. So she, and then what I was asking her, like, what would she tell us? She's like, dream big, do what you want, do not settle. And that how many wonderful women were here in this, like in our chat, that we're here, and that we can really do anything, and to really don't limit ourselves in any way. And so, yeah, so that anyway, those are just some of the things I was picking up from her, and how wonderful her mother was. And she loved her mother, and that she always was encouraged to kind of be a dreamer that way. So, yeah.
I forgot to say one thing about her as well is, so she came from a very wealthy family, and if you guys decide to look at her history more, there's a long line of what she came down from. Her father died when she was young, and then so she was with her mother. Anyway, so when she got married to a lawyer, and so she had family money. Well, it seems like the first husband she had, he ended up committing suicide, and then she found out that the family money was all gone. And that's when she really dove into her writing. And I forgot to say that. So that's when she had 2 daughters at that point.
Wow.
And she grieved when she had that second daughter, because she was bringing yet another woman to the state affairs of how women were going to be treated. And she knew that was going to be happening to these poor girls, that they would be forced under this oppression. Anyway, so I wanted to bring that in. I had forgotten to say that.
I mean, there is a very much a ladylikeness about her. Like, she feels very feminine, but there's a spiciness to her, a strength of spirit that clearly she has always had. That's who she, that's the real her. But there is a kind of a like a ladylike feeling to her as well, proper or something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you can see how that, but how interesting that her mom, who I can see her, they're standing next to each other, that her mom really supported her thoughts and never, and you would think back then, we've heard so many stories how the mom would have also been one of the oppressors, but I don't think that she was.
Right.
We started talking about her. She kept talking about the gift of writing and how important it is to write. And, basically nowadays, no one does it, certainly not by hand. But writing is very cathartic, and the gift of being able to do that and writing your own stories to look at your own life, whether you write a fiction book, nobody even has to see it. It's it's the writing it, it's the experience of writing, it's that quietness, it's just you and your mind in writing. So there's something very, I don't know, I'm hearing the word holy, not that it's holy, but maybe it's like it's an experience. It's a high level experience to sit and write, right? It's the connection. It's very cathartic. So she was bringing that in the very beginning, and it is a gift. So if we can all write, get a little journal and write. Nobody does that really anymore, do they? I don't know.
Yeah, I keep a journal. I've kept a journal since I was about 12, so I've always kept a journal.
Oh, that's great.
But it was in our church encouraged us to keep journals, so I've kept a journal for a long time.
Oh, that's wonderful.
When I was in the church, but yeah, I think that I feel like too with writing, she could play out scenarios and things. Like it helped her to really have complete ideas about things, about because I even feel like even like some of the economic things and stuff that she would come up with or think about, that you're right, Andrea, that writing really was a way to it was cathartic. I think that's a really good word. And I also think it helped her to play out scenarios and figure out, what do I think about this or that, or how would this be if women could do this or do this? Mm-hmm. And it's like she could bring it to life and make people see it as well.
And it was safe. She's saying yes to what you're saying. She's like, yes, it's like being an actress on stage where you play different parts. So you have that little bit separation, but you're still being able to experience that particular part or that scenario. It exactly. She said you said it so well.
The other big thing I was getting was I'll use the word frustration because that's what it was feeling like. It's at the time for women, which we've seen as we do these shows. She's saying, why are you teaching me how to set a table when I have the mind of a mathematician or a scientist, right? So there's that frustration. And hey, some women want to be homemakers, and that's great. But what if you didn't? What if you had the mind of a scientist? What if you had the mind of a astrologer or, whatever it is, but you were only told that you could set a table or sew? And you just felt like, the stallion stuck in a cage when you're ready to run wild and strong. And there's that frustration. And she felt that for the women of the day. She also felt that for her daughters, wondering if they were going to be trapped stallions when they got to their age, right? To their their adult.
That's a good way to put that, trapped stallion.
Yeah, it's just that and it reminds me of another woman we read on. Remember, she would go to work and the man would abuse her. And then the son said that it was her fault that she was in a relationship with them. And it's like, and this poor woman had to go every day to a job where she got abused just to feed her kids. And it's the same thing. Why were the women only, like, what did you say? The job offer was met with, when she would go as a woman for a job offer, it would be met with, right. But when she dressed as a man, she got the job.
Right.
Why so many, think of that pent up frustration of so many women denied being the chance to explore their mind in the past, even some in the present. But that's very sad. That's a heavy weight, and we've got to really push through. We've got to keep that fight that every young girl can go to school and study and use her mind if that's what she wants.
So she's saying it is so much better these days, right? It's gotten so much better, and she feels very privileged that she got to be a part of being a voice and bringing light to to the underlining and being that pioneer in that. But she's saying it's gotten so much better. However, there's the I'm going to use the word narrative here because I don't know how else to say it. What she's trying to explain to me. When we look at it, when we're told a story and about a situation, and we go to judge it, we still have that underlining judgment towards women in the story. So let's say something happens between a man and a woman, and we're making judgment on the story. Watch where we judge a woman in the story. And she said there's still a little bit of that underlining judgment there where it shouldn't be. Right? Do you understand what she's trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
Or am I saying it right? Okay.
Projecting some of that old ways of thinking.
Right. That's
those
still
rules
there.
or
Even though we've made change and we can go get jobs, and there's still oppression on women. But it's so much better than when she started. She said where it's dangerous is that underlining judgment piece of things that is still present. She said it's still present, and we still need to fight that. Let's see if she has any more on this.
And there's still, in some other countries where girls are not really welcome into school, frowned upon, etc. So, we aren't at the finish line until we're all standing there together, right?
Right.
So we've still got to fight, even if we're better in North America and in other places. We still have to keep pushing. So we can't forget to bring all those other girls with us, right?
Right.
That are in the other countries, to raise them to the finish line.
And what she brought me a story. She's like, okay, so in the case of a woman being assaulted, well, what was she wearing? You know what I mean?
Oh, that kind of thing. Yeah.
That type of underlining.
Well, where was she walking? What time is it? What was she wearing?
Was she going? That type of thing. And I'm just using that as an example because it's across the board. It's not. It doesn't even have to be that severe of a story. We still, there's still parts of those narratives still coming through when we are judging a situation. And she said we need to change that. If you want to change the energy, you really got to get into those areas and start catch yourself and change that. So
yeah, I love that. And what you were talking about too, Andrea, I was hearing her say that when there is unexpressed potential, when women there is unexpressed potential in women, that has an energy that lingers. And so anytime a woman does express themselves and does reach their potential or go for reaching their potential, that releases that energy. And so it's almost like we're still working through the energy of all of those women that you were talking about who never got to fully express their full potential. And we can help them by being different, by help and kind of release that and work through that energy by being different and raising our girls to be different and go out there and do what we feel we're here to do, whatever that's
really is. Beautiful, thinking about their energy getting released through
I like that.
Our realization. Wow, that's powerful. That's bringing tears to my eyes.
Oh, me too.
Wow.
There we go. It's just, that's so.
Because what else would they have wished for? That someday, I'm going to start crying. Someday, imagine you're back then. Someday, I hope women don't have to go through this. And then we're here. basically. And they're thrilled, right? That releases. Wow.
Right.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful. We have one question that came in. What does she think about what's going on in the US right now around the LGBTQI stuff? And I missed the last part. Reproductive rights.
Well, she's just saying, why are you keeping anybody down? Why can't anyone reach their full potential or be who they want to be? Why does someone have to hide their sexuality or, expressing themselves? Why does that, who's gaining from oppressing people?
Right. And you're onto it. Andrea, with that, in that, so you have an animal pack going, and the least, the one that is the most vulnerable will be the first one attacked. And so, as women started gaining their voices and power, she says, they're going to start attacking the next vulnerable group, right? Because they're still fighting for that top space, that patriarchal spot of power and oppression. So they'll take the next group and just continue their attack to stay in power.
And she's also bringing me, unfortunately, but she's also bringing me to the church and saying that that when you have churches that that are able to oppress any group in the name of God, it's the really it gives people permission in a way that is really unhealthy for everybody. So she's saying this is happening. There are a lot of the idea of the kind of the church being the last word is changing. It's being turned on its head in our time. And she's like, it will continue because and this is part of the reason why, is because there's more and more people know someone who's gay. They're related to someone who's gay or lesbian or bisexual. This is not, so they don't want their kids oppressed and they don't want their friends oppressed, and the same thing with, our reproductive rights. Men have wives and daughters and they don't want to see their rights taken away. So it's having less power just to say like, well, this is what we believe in our church and that's it. It doesn't have that kind of power anymore because we have our own personal experiences. And she's saying that trumps what you're told. When you have a personal experience and a personal knowing, that trumps what you're told. That trumps what you're told to believe. So, and we're having more and more and more of that. I mean, right, this community, this is what we talk about. It's trusting your own intuition, trusting your own knowing. And as we move into that more and more and more, people have their own personal experiences. I don't want to see my daughter, have her rights taken away. That's a personal truth, compared to somebody in the church telling me from a pulpit, this is the way it ought to be.
Right.
This is the way, it's not going to work the way it worked a long time ago. And it's changing every day.
Right.
That's just what she's saying. It's changing every day.
Yeah.
And the things that were taboo in the past are not really taboo. Back in Victorian days, you couldn't even show your wrist. Like you had to be covered, I mean, some cultures, they still cover up, but, that's not, a woman can go out in a t-shirt and it's not, the sky's not going to fall.
Right.
So,
And that's most of the world now, right? There aren't that many. There are places where they do have to cover up from head to toe, but not like there were. I mean,
Right.
most places are, you can wear what you want, and yeah.
but I keep hearing and it's something I'm going to think about, is who stands to gain when you oppress? So when women were oppressed and couldn't get jobs in the past, let's say, who stood to win? Who benefited from that?
Right. Yeah.
Right? Who benefits from attacking the gay community, or any of these things? Who's actually, because it's got nothing to do with me. Like, I'm
Right.
not benefiting when you keep women down or people of different orientations. That doesn't benefit me in my life, because I don't care about that. Like, that, and it certainly doesn't help me as a woman if you keep women down. So
Right.
where is this idea coming from, and who stands to win? Because that's really where we have to look.
Right.
And that motivation, is it fear-based? Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Is it control-based? Probably. It's a very strange thing, isn't it? Like, why would I want to push someone down or deny them rights?
Right. And it's a segment, right? It's just it's a segment of the population. It's not.
Imagine if we're in reverse world right now, and
Right.
all of the men in the world can't get jobs because they're men. It's just women who get jobs.
Right.
And it's just women who control everything. Women are in government only. Women run the banks. Women are in,
Sounds fabulous.
I know. It'll be great when it happens. But anyways, but we wouldn't do that. We wouldn't say you can't get a job because you're a man. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
If you're qualified, you're qualified. We want the best people on the job.
Exactly.
There needs to be a balance. Yeah.
Yeah. But when you've run it all and you're used to that, and it changes, it's hard for some people to let go, but it is changing though. And they're going to have to get over it I think this is always what we come back to on every episode. They just need to get over it. It's happening, and it is, it's evolution, right? We're evolving to a more balanced way of being, for everybody. It's so funny because we just saw the Barbie movie yesterday, and that is exactly what it's about. It's about how patriarchies, they don't work for women, but they don't work for men either. They're not good for either one.
Nope.
The best way is a balanced way. Everybody doing their bit, everybody taking their part, everybody taking their responsibility, everyone helping each other. That is where we're heading to. And we're going to teeter and totter, I think, a bit, because it's new and it's different, but we'll get there. But that's where we're moving. I mean, that is that's spiritual evolution and people as well. So we're going that way. When you get on the train, you get on the train, I guess, but the train has left the station. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I like that. The Barbie movie. That's great.
And this is the kind of dialogue Lily's saying. Yes, this inspired dialogue. She wants more people having this kind of conversation like we're having now with the viewers and ourselves. This enlightened and spicy and a little bit controversial and different and harmonious. Like, it's all of these things. And it all comes out to the end result of equality and everybody having a piece of the pie. And it's okay. No one's going to lose. There's enough for everybody.
Right.
And and she's taking me back to what you were saying, Andrea, about journaling.
Yeah.
Take it up. Start writing. If you talk it in your phone, even if I know things have changed, that's okay. Talk journal. But she says it makes you, it brings in, like, these are thoughts that were coming and it was so scandalous, but if she wrote it in a book, under assumed name, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then it became safe to actually write it all out and just go, oh, I see it now. So journaling gives us a freedom that just opens up a freedom to expand our thoughts, expand into awakening, because it's safe to kind of write it down or, speak it in your phone or however. It gives you a whole new freedom for awakening. And
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And it gives you perspective too. Sometimes when you write something out and you look at it as an outsider, it's the same kind of thing that sometimes counseling can do, or psychiatry can do, where you can see it from a different angle, and then you figure out a solution, or you figure out it's not that important after all, or it is a great tool for so many reasons. But I agree.
Yeah. So she's encouraging us to pick that up.
Agree with her. Absolutely.
I used to journal. I mean, I have like 50 journals, 100 journals over there from years gone by.
Well, and it doesn't have to be, I think sometimes people think a journal you have to write and write and write, and you really don't. You can just write a few lines that sum up the day or what you've been thinking about today or whatever. It doesn't have to be a long, drawn out thing. It really just can be
stream of consciousness, like
just kind of whatever's going on inside there and letting it out. It's very cathartic. It's a great tool. I agree with her completely.
Yeah, beautiful. All right. Well, thank you, Lily, for coming in and just pioneering and opening doors for us.
Yeah.
That was a great pick, Debbie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I said that, she linked in with a lot of women. She linked in like she was holding on to, like they were all linking arms together. Beautiful. We are connected, you guys, she's saying. We're all connected.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us tonight. Sharon Sipe, thank you for all your moderation and moderating and putting all our info in. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Sharon.
Everyone, step into your superpowers this week, and we'll see you all next time. Thank you. Blessings, everyone.